Good morning, Provost Kumar, Dean Friend Bronstein, Maestro Fleischer, good friend, and Maestro Adams, bravo to you. To the members of the Peabody Institute Advisory Board, the faculty, staff, alumni, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and most importantly, class of 2018, I am the only outsider in this room. But thank you for having me. I'd like to start just by saying to the parents and the grandparents, the families and friends, congratulations to you. As the wife of a professor of music and the mother of a singer, I know what it has taken for you to be here and to celebrate. So congratulations to all of you. So this time of year is filled with many conversations about graduation and the role of a commencement speaker, including one that I only fell upon recently. I confess I was told this by my husband, who was at a recent commencement. And the story is of a comment from an unnamed university president to a speaker who was preparing words for this occasion. And the story goes that the president offered this advice: think of yourself as the body at an Irish wake. They need you in order to have the party, but no one really expects you to say very much. Or, for that matter, to be remembered. But I will forge ahead, as I do have words, and I care so much about what you are about to go and do. So to you, our graduates, my congratulations for reaching this really impressive milestone in your personal journey as an artist. I know this accomplishment didn't come easily. Years and years, a lifetime in practice rooms, on stages, in dark studios, in rehearsal spaces alone or in groups, toiling away to perfect your art. You are finally here with your colleagues and sometime competitors to celebrate together. For today, you truly are standing on the starting line for the rest of your lives, and you likely have more questions than answers at this point. So speaking to you on this occasion is an extraordinary opportunity and also a daunting one for me. How can I adequately reflect on or offer a celebration of your years at Peabody? The tears of joy and anguish, the dedication and disappointments, and mostly the momentous breakthroughs in your personal development. How can I best inspire you for all that is to come in your future? Who am I but the outsider, an observer, a commentator? Your success belongs to you, but your teachers and peers, your family and friends have helped you get here. And by now you know that learning extends beyond the classroom or the practice room, the studio or stage. It's more than technical achievement or memorization. Successful learning is about hard work, problem solving, collaboration, and creativity. It is about pushing yourself to stretch beyond the comfort zone while staying true to yourself and learning from the feedback, both positive and negative. Creativity requires integrity, courage, and a vision for the future that makes room for possibility that you have not yet exhausted all of your options. The writer James Baldwin admonished us to know from whence you came. If you know whence you came, there is absolutely no limitations to where you can go. Over 100 years ago, the grandson of Irish immigrants was born into affluent privilege while being limited physically with serious illness and pain. Rather than taking the easy way, the boy chose to push himself and strive at self-improvement through pain and discomfort, rejecting physical and intellectual laziness his entire life. He learned to express himself in a way many have tried to emulate, but few have come close to matching. His creativity and ability with words led him to write a best-selling book while still an undergraduate. He demonstrated that service is at the heart of what it means to be an American, and volunteered for combat duty during his generation's war, and then entered public service for the balance of his life. So you no doubt have figured out that I'm speaking of President John F. Kennedy, for whom our National Cultural Center is named. He is one of our most cherished of presidents because of what he stood for and for his eloquence in speaking of the importance of artists in our society. Our elected officials are mostly remembered for their decisions and actions. And while that is also true for JFK, we also remember how he used language to ask important questions and convey his optimism and ideals for the future. We quote JFK all the time at the Kennedy Center, and I'll try and limit it today. But here's one that I believe is really appropriate. He said, "Creativity is the hardest work there is." To me, that means never shy away from an idea because it's new, or don't own it too fervently just because it's your own. Creativity is a value that sets up successful outcomes, be it in the arts or in any other field that requires more than the norm to succeed. Now it is your time to think about how creativity can take you forward, as Baldwin said, with no limitations. Not just as an artist, but how you share your art and how you impact the world around you. President Kennedy challenged his generation to put a man on the moon and return him safely to Earth within a decade. We choose to go to the moon and do the other things not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Creativity was the only value that could match the daring and audacity of JFK's moonshot challenge. What if I were to tell you there are no limits on what you can do? What if I told you that by embracing your inner creativity, you stand the best chance of tackling the greatest challenges on your path ahead, be they personal or professional pursuits? Harnessing creativity is your inner superpower, and probably the most important one. Creativity propels your imagination, innovation, undermines your doubters and skeptics, and prevents each of us from settling for the easy way out. Here I am, speaking to you as graduating artists, all of your family and friends, and the many teachers, artists, and musicians who have traveled this journey with you. Of course you're creative. But this is not the only type of creativity I am speaking of. You are artists. The creativity I am encouraging you to consider now is of how you will share your artistry, how you will use your superpower to make the world a better place. I am asking you to be considering new opportunities for your personal creative expression. So here's a little bit of insider information. Believe it or not, the world of working in the performing arts is not really that open to change and innovation. Am I right? But in my experience, change and innovation and creativity are central to success and contextual relevance, if for no other reason than to continue to make the arts a powerful force of expression for generations to come, and because the arts have a unique ability to bring people together as we, artists and audiences, share an experience. There have been moments throughout my career when people told me an idea was too difficult, too far-fetched, really crazy. And most of the time, those reactions just hardened my resolve. The difference between being stubborn, I hope and pray, and being driven is significant, but they are not always perceptible. So borrowing from Kennedy again, that is, we must do what is difficult. After many years of exploring new opportunities in the performing arts, I want to convey to you that the fight is worth fighting. Though it's sometimes easier to talk yourself into acquiescence, the difficult and more creative outcomes are worth the journey. My reminder to colleagues is that managing success is far more difficult than managing failure. And I've learned many a time that creativity is the hardest work there is. but it is also the most powerful and rewarding. And that's what brings me here today. My journey through the arts is a path that has taken me to exciting, moving, inspiring, and sometimes scary and sad places. Whether to the Musikverein in Vienna or Suntory Hall in Tokyo, an orphanage in St. Petersburg, Russia, or a halfway house for teens in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, the unifying experience is the transformative power of music. While I was at the Chicago Symphony, we were challenged to take the orchestra to all parts of the community, especially to those individuals who don't have any access to the arts. We envision taking music and using it to improve the lives of everyone in Chicago. We, in this room, know that the arts are a powerful way of bringing people together and creating community. So I sought out friends and colleagues who shared this idea, who didn't believe it was foolish, nonsensical, or impossible to undertake. And together we set upon a course to bring music and theater in the form of opera arias and eventually musical theater into correctional facilities in Chicago. After all, opera is about life, death, crime, redemption. What better place to tell the stories than in prison? The music took root in a female juvenile detention center and evolved from entertainment into culture, where we supported the young women as they began to write and perform their own works upon themes so familiar in their own lives. This program was powerful to these young women because it enabled them to tell their personal story while learning to write music and to perform. And they expressed themselves in brand new ways, culminating in a performance for each other and their families. An unlikely musical performance by the most unexpected of artists. Was it high art, education, therapy, or a way for all to feel like equals? Is there a difference? Our purpose was the journey more than it was the destination, and it was well worth taking, but it wasn't easy. The skeptics were legion, and their skepticism was totally fair. We were taking resources away from conventional programming and placing them in an unproven environment. And even the best case scenario was that we would be bringing music to prisoners. So easy was not anything about that. The work I started there with a program like that with Yo-Yo Ma and Riccardo Muti and the Chicago Symphony Orchestra in 2006 ultimately led to the creation now of the Kennedy Center's Citizen Artist Fellowship. As we now enter its 4th year, we have 21 artists across the various art forms throughout the country using those superpowers as creative individuals, touching lives, changing worlds, inspiring those who deserve to have a new perspective on life. Beyond those 21 that we have recognized, I know there are many, many more who are doing this work in communities large and small. There's Vijay Gupta of the Los Angeles Philharmonic, making music with homeless men and women with street symphony, building self-esteem and a sense of purpose to a community of individuals who normally feel hopeless and invisible. Or C.J. Phillip, who created and leads Dance and Be More here in Baltimore. It's a community-based dance program for seniors and families addressing loneliness, healing, and self-worth. Or Shaw Pong, a Boston-based violinist whose current project, Code Listen, uses music to support healing and dialogue around gun violence, racism, and police practices in collaboration with the Boston Police Department, local musicians, teen artists, and family members surviving homicide. These artists are all trained at the very highest levels of excellence, just like you. And while they also perform on that standard level of excellence, they are also sharing their superpowers to make their worlds better, healthier, and safer. President Kennedy's words ring true throughout the Citizen Artist Initiative. We challenge ourselves to think creatively and do what is difficult because it is important. I believe in these words and his challenge, and I think about that every day. This sentiment was invoked at the Kennedy Center a couple of years ago when we determined it was time to bring hip-hop to the main stage of the Kennedy Center. Not just for one night or a special event, we'd already done that, but rather as a regular part of our ongoing program on into the future. Especially in this room, you probably can imagine that this did not resonate so well with those who think that opera and symphonic music, chamber music, jazz, or other more established art forms other than hip-hop should be central at the Kennedy Center. But it was time. Hip-hop culture matters, it has a long history, and there is an important story that deserves to be told at the National Cultural Center. To place it in our programming mix just required that we believe in it, that we take the time and the resources to plow forward and carry everyone along with the idea. And some of the greatest fun I have had in the last season was witnessing the creative sparks generated by Q-Tip and Jason Moran as they found resonance and inspiration in sharing and blending rap and jazz music. I'm very, very aware of a growing trend for pessimism. It seems pervasive in our national conversation. But I look to you, our artists of today and the future, as I believe you offer us a perspective that no others can. You are our natural leaders. There is no way of predicting what may happen as long as you have the courage and creativity to explore possibilities, give generously of yourself, and refuse to be defined solely by the narrow margins of your art and art form. Your options are only limited by your own diligence, tenacity, and focus. Yes, there are obstacles, but you have already proven that you have the talent and the tools to change your own life and master your own challenges. By not backing away from a daunting idea, by working together and embrace creative thinking, now is your opportunity to share your talent and your skills to help us make the world a better place. So today I call on you not to back down from a problem or project just because it seems difficult. Don't take the easy way out. Be true to who you are. You are artists with your own unique talents and perspective. You are the creators who hold a mirror up to the world, and now that you have mastered your technique, you must deploy it. There are no limits to what you can do, no frontiers you cannot explore, and you may even be creating new frontiers. 100 years ago, women could not vote, and now women represent both political parties in legislative bodies around the country and just south of here. 100 years from now, ideas that seem absurd or unworkable now will be commonplace. So how are you going to spend your time, your talents, your art? On the forward edge of creative problem solving, or on the sideline, content to watch others make the changes that accompany every generation's opportunities and challenge? I urge the former for the sake of all of us here who share this planet. What will your moonshot be? So welcome to life as an artist, a citizen artist. Good luck. Thank you.